Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. It's a really great turnout. It's fantastic to see, so thank you so much. I'm delighted to welcome Nuno Melo Sousa. Sousa is one of the most important architects working in Portugal at present, with a host of significant projects to his name, including cultural buildings, houses, and industrial projects. His studio is based in the town he grew up in, Penafiel in northern Portugal. He is known for his exploration and expression of structure in his work. Sousa's artwork has been exhibited internationally and is on permanent display at the Drawing Matter Archive in London. In addition to running his studio, Sousa has taught in Mendrisio in Switzerland, FAUP in Porto, and INDA in Chulalongkorn in Thailand. He is currently completing his PhD at FAUP Porto. The publishing house AMAG produced a monograph of his work, which was launched in September. In his spare time, he plays the drums and synth with the band Mouet. I'd like to thank the Architecture Society, with the support of the RAI Southern Region, BOK Architects and Engineers, and Shauna Marie of Fuin of Workshop for making this special talk possible. It's my pleasure to welcome Nuno Melo Sousa to Cork Centre for Architectural Education.
Well, good evening. This is outstanding. Many people here. Super crowded. This will be great with 10 people. It's even greater with 100. Thank you very much. I have to thank first Sean for the invitation that came across my email. I don't know, probably half a year. I was very looking forward to visit Cork and Ireland for the first time. And I'm super humbled by the reception. Kevin, Adam, Patrick, Sarah, you've all been very, very kind to me during this day. Just a small amendment. Some of the works are just online for Drawing Matter, and I wish I was finishing my PhD, but not yet. So, let me see if it's okay. So I swear I really wanted to make a rap album, but this is literally the way the wind blew me this time. This is a song from Andrea 3000, the new Sun album. And I think it's a quite interesting phrase to start this lecture, because a lot of the times, or if you would ask me when I was a kid, if I wanted to be an architect, no way. No chance. There was nothing, there was no summoning, there was no light that appeared in a corridor that would tell me that I will be an architect. And sometimes we do things and we don't know why we are doing them, just by repetition, just by the sake of, let's say, obstination, have thoughts and ideas, and they end up, in different shelves, different cabinets along our existence, things that we do. And this is the first drawing that my mom, she took fine arts sculpture, so it was the closest that I would have to art during my childhood. And it was a drawing that I did of Fred Flintstone, cutting grass with the dinosaur. It was, you cannot read it, but this says Penafiel, which is my hometown, 3rd of June of 1994. And it says like Friday. And probably, I always start with this drawing because probably it was one of an inception to my mother and my family that I knew how to draw. And eventually this drawing bring me here today. And this is a photograph of 98. I was full of style with these glasses and a Nike cap in front of Caesar's, big cover canopy in Lisbon. But I didn't even share any kind of, it didn't touch me. It was not something that I always said that I would be an architect. So during my school days, I started playing in bands and getting in touch with the punk hardcore scene environment, where you just go to a basement, you write songs, and then you put your own shows, and you record your albums, put it on a tape, make some t-shirts, and then you go sell them to the friends, and playing really small gigs to meeting a lot of people. Kind of grew with me this sensation that I would not want to stand just in one place, and I would like to make miles and and meet other people. And if you really want to do something, you just go and do it. You want to record an album, that you want to get better, you rehearse. You want to make an album, you rehearse a lot, and then you try to record something. And this do-it-yourself thing kind of moved along my school days in FAUP, and also to the way that you kind of sleep in other places rather than your house. You record in abandoned houses or like vacant houses in the countryside with the amplifiers and the desk over here, for the duration of 4 days. And this is not that different than being on a building site and trying to accommodate a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, a lot of expectations on something that you're doing. And this also moved me to this place of making concerts and festivals and organizing and making t-shirts. And one of my friends, a very good friend of mine, actually, he became a client. He was always telling me, you're not here for the music, you're here for the merchandise. You really want to make objects and things, and then you go and you sell, and then you're happy about it. And for me, it's about not a legacy, but something, an object, making of something that you can touch, you can listen to, you can look at. And these days, this is a photograph during the pandemic. We work in a -2 floor in a garage that only has one opening to a courtyard, so it's very secluded. And during the pandemic, as it's a -2, we could play. And this was also our escapism from that reality of playing. Hugo, which is over there, is the co-author of one of the projects I would show, a house in Tanzania. And we always play together, and we still do with Moai, which is this duo. Having bands, it's a bit also makes the building site, because the bigger the band, the bigger the discussions, and the bigger the egos, the bigger the compromise. So with the two-piece, it's very easy to know where he is. If he tells me that he's in his aunt's birthday, I know it. He only has 1 ounce, so he can only tell me that once. He's not going to repeat the same thing over and over again. So there's no excuses not to provide, not to make things. And during my school days, there was a big twist, a plot twist. I went to Delft, to TU Delft, to make the Erasmus program, and it was a great school, great environment, very nice city. But I was a bit, the gray weather was a bit on top of me, and also the fact that there was an opportunity to go to India, and I went for the second semester to Doshi's office. Me and 2 other Portuguese that kind of infiltrated in the Dutch gang that went there. And this was totally moving, because there were no such thing as a normal day or a normal set during the time and the period that we were there. So we were both learning from the workshop, the semester there, and also for the amount of super blowing your mind atmosphere, cities, chaos, that kind of flipped my world around and opened a bit my mind, understanding that Porto was not, the end of the world, or really where. So the Douro River, where it would meet the sea, would also mean that there was a lot more rather than the school, the alma mater, and this also taught me another thing about buildings. This is a bus station by Charles Correa in Ahmedabad, where we stayed. And this bus station, as you can see, it's all painted, the curtains are falling apart. There's a lot of publicity, but you still recognize the idea. You still can perceive what was the intention of lifting the building, having this, hanging canopy on both sides, the permeability on the ground, and how life took over the building. And this was totally against what I was being taught at school, as a building, as an object, as something pristine, that cannot contain life and cannot be changed. And this has a lot to do with the context where I build, the context where I design, because people change a lot, the designs, and they tend to change things.
Sorry, excuse me, so just for, we can barely hear you.
Okay, I will try to be louder.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do my best. So in school, we also had in the 4th year a discipline that was history, that we had to make a sketchbook of drawings. And with the sketchbook of drawings, it was mandatory to draw Romanic, Gothic examples of architecture through Portugal. And I took this always as an exercise, even when abroad, to bring the sketchbook and to draw. So this part of drawing was also part of the process. Like it was almost inherent to the way that I was approaching the discipline, architecture, and kind of falling in love with this idea of capturing what I was seeing through drawing. And eventually, I ended up teaching. And this is a photograph of Bangkok in the year of 15, Myanmar. And it was super great to have the opportunity to go to Asia and to teach there. Another totally different panorama, another way of also looking at the same object, the same discipline of architecture. And the fact that this very vibrant city also offered these opportunities to travel around was a win-win situation. So to run the office and to stay there for a semester, no going and coming, and meeting a lot of super interesting people from different contexts again, melting pot of ideas. So let's say that when you have a review, everybody has a totally different approach to the same project of the students. And for me, again, it was also a mind-opening moment, because as when you're in the faculty, you have a way of doing, and Porto is quite strict with the drawing, with the precision of the hand drawing, and it was very, very good to me to flip it around again. Eventually, when I returned in 2018, it was not anymore possible to be teaching and running the practice at the same time. And this is a photograph of returning to FALP to teach first year design student, and getting again involved with the way, the craft, the way of doing that I grew up with. It was super. It was also a very happy moment and very rich again to. When you teach, what I get, at least what I get from teaching, is that I have to be always sharp and aware of a project that appears in front of me, and somehow I have to say something clever, something that helps the student go in their path. So to always be engaged with 24 different projects per year, it's also a way of creating systems, creating methods of thinking. And last year I was in Madrizio teaching first year, and I have a small atelier of 12 students in the first year, which is run by Valerio Giatti. And it was again another moment of ultra discomfort to understand another way of teaching through an idea and not through a process as in FALP. This is one of my first clients, a very tall, nice person. That is called Antonio, and Antonio asked me for a small room, and this is how things start. So what I'd like to share is that there's no just one way of doing things, or running a practice or starting something. It just starts one day, one commission, another commission, and then you end up not going anywhere and just focusing on designing and building and learning along the way you build. And this is a small room, so we needed a living room for a house that is all around this, but it didn't have a living room, just a succession of spaces. So I just created these very, this is like 210, and then this is 4 meters, that is the skylight. And I always like to show the photograph of the person because he's quite a tall person, but he allowed me to, to do whatever, and then to think about the project in a very free way. And I was also spoiled by the first sites that I found. They were very special. For example, this one that is, the size of this plot is super big. That's why we could build over here in this, until this line, and it reaches the river. So to also spend time in the building site makes even things better to visit this building, and also to experiment, as I will kind of show you afterwards, what we did in this house. So the process at the atelier, which I don't, in Portugal, you could call it escritório, but it's a very formal way of saying that. I think that's the more informal, the more relaxed, the more crossed through what you do, the better. At least that's how I take it. So I still draw as I drew back at the faculty, and I saw you drafting up there. And then we crossed this, and then a lot of other drawings. These drawings, I call them, mind catchers. So it's a bit like you have a small bunch of lines that coincide and are about an idea, and they are just enough to pull a string to then develop this idea. Then we also use AutoCAD and make the matrix of houses. This is a doorless house for a couple with 3 children, and they wanted to have a house without doors inside. So it's a progression of chambers that compress into a living room that then doesn't have a corner, and then develops towards a courtyard, and then the living room develops, faces the diagonal line of this wall that protects. So the condition is it's funny because it's a quarter that does like this, so the goal does this. So all the houses are facing the house through the backyard. So this is a way of almost like containing the house this way. But not to talk about the house, but to talk about matrix. So it's a black line that then you precise how wide, how tall, how spaces are. And then, of course, a lot of models, 1 to 20 models. This is a bird watching tower. There is the same client that wanted a small cave. So outside you only have this fireplace with a small reception area, and then an inside cabanon. So to work with all of this, we then cross these ideas with realistic renderings. I have very good friends that share the space with me. We were also the same guys that we were putting shows together, making festivals. They are now doing amazing renderings, and with these renderings, we test everything. The pivoted panels to ventilate the space, the finishing of a floor, the skylight, the texture of concrete, and then to be crossed again with thousand drawings. That is almost like when you kind of leave your head melting ideas that then are crossed again with interiors and other images again. That with these images, I really try to see how it's the end mile of the project already in the first phase. Also to try to grasp the attention of the viewer, of the client, in order to submit to a final result. Okay, that can be changed then during the construction, and they can be as similar or resemble as other solutions. This is the house. This was the house. There was this portico, so there was like this gesture of making a roof to create another room, and then they are collected and stored and archived. Some to be revisited, some to just be left in the archive. And this is the process. And sometimes it's also like this: you print very dull line from the 3D engine, and then you sketch on top of it just to show how materiality would evolve within these drawings. And then you move to the building site, and the site has a lot of this, a lot of WhatsApps with annotations and exchanges with clients, because you cannot go there every day on every regular day. And then this becomes a new tool of operations. So just to say that it's not an envelope that you give and then you wait things to happen. You have to be on top of it. You have to kind of fight a lot, and then you receive images of these are quite recent, of these works on the garden. But this friend of mine is a DJ, super enthusiastic also. Sometimes very difficult to grasp everything that he has to say about the project and the expectations. But at least, as you can see, there's a lot of exchange of ideas and things to correct. And another thing that I learned along the way, the more you do it, the more you keep doing it, almost as if you're a musician and you're doing perdidos or you're doing scales, you really need exercises to keep your mind in an operative way. And you're allowed to draw on walls because you're the architect. When you're here, you cannot do it because it's forbidden to do it in your home. And now I can do it in somebody else's home. And then afterwards, this is all painted white, and then it's covered, and it kind of disappears. But for a moment, I can visit the building site and then use, a wall as a canvas. And the workers, they arrive there in the morning and they look like a crazy architect, but they don't even, try to argue about it. And then this also translates into other things and other operations that are done through the buildings. This is another photograph of a house done in Brazil, which is all full of WhatsApp exchanges and incredibly speaking about this, it came out better than expected through the how distant it was. I just visited this house this February, almost 2 years after the completion, and then we can find similarities and disparities, but that doesn't matter a lot, because these are just mind catchers. These are just intentions on things. Some of them already exist, some will exist, some won't exist, but it's really food for the brain. So I really like to think about the atelier and the practice as something very hybrid. I don't say that this is not organized. I don't say that this is out of place. It's like it is what it is. The drawings are spread around, the models and things that are also pinned on the wall as you do it in the faculty. So these transitions, I think that they make which, at least for me, this is a safe haven. And none of this will be impossible without Diogo and Anna. So if I'm here now, it's because they are really pushing back there, exchanging and trying to do the best we can. And we are also super small. Like I've been working alone for a long time. I hired Diogo a couple of years ago, and Anna came along also like 1.5 years or 2 years ago. And now we have Formiga, who is Luis, that is with us for the last month. So it's a very small operation. It's not a corporation. We just do our best. So I like very much this image from Calder on saying that this is his mind spread all around. It's splattered and scattered all around the studio. And I also like really this image from Serra with his paintings, that one could say that they all look the same, they're all the same, but they're not the same. One is always drawing and designing the same square without designing the same square, but thinking about resemblances and similarities and things that are from the same person with small tweaks and variations. And I think that's what really makes something beautiful, is the more you repeat it, the more you're embedded in these things. And this is another plan that I really like from Loja Forma, from Paulo da Rocha, a Brazilian architect. And this is a synthesis of also an idea of a building that is lifted from the floor, that has a staircase as a tongue, that is like only the weight that allows the staircase to reach the floor, and then the structure on both sides that maintains the building up from the ground. And in the end, this is how it goes, as a full circle. You draw, you think, you visit, you fail, and then you fail again, and then you near miss it, and then you think that you did it, and then afterwards you fail again. And it's been the path for the past 12 years. So I started a project which was a very happy project, the way that we learned a lot with this. As you see, this is the plot, the model for the plot, and for the first idea, intention of placing a rock, placing a building as one element on this topography. And this is the relation that we have with the river. And this was so immeasurable, so big, the plot, that we didn't have any kind of reference. For example, today I was with Sean in the first year, Sarah and Adam for the review. And it is a super hard first exercise, because you have a context and you have to deal with the corner situation. we have to come up with the program. And this side is also very hard because you don't have anything to grasp. And it's just a huge land. You don't want to spoil. You don't want to break anything. So our intention was to just create a narrow, long house with a social area, a kitchen, a staircase that will work as a structural element, really in the middle of the house, and then rooms facing a glass facade, 2 toilets, and 1 corridor facing the rocks, and 1 balcony to this side facing the other rocks. The huge, and this is the ground level plan with a 45-degree swimming pool. This will be totally impossible to build today because this is a 2014 project. Right now, prices are totally insane, as I also had the chance to know that here are the same. So this kind of experimentation with 40-degree test concrete made on site. These boards some of them are like 16 meters long. They were being lifted, put in place, and they were like 3 men for 1 year and something building this house with a lot of time. And this is how we do it. And there's some naivety with the house because we did it almost as prefab concrete. So almost like the pieces are being dropped on top of each other. And it should be as when you open a marble stone and you want to match, the lines of the marble. So this is also a granite area very near the quarries. So this is how it works. You have 1 piece that will be casted, then it will be cut, and then another piece will just fall on top of this. And this is how it the puzzle looks in a way that it's not just one single texture, but it's a game of scale too. This is 1/6, very narrow, so you can just look at the river in section. And then the window was the biggest fight with the client because imagine this house in front of the river and you wanted everything in glass. So the discussion was, no, we have really to create a tension from the entrance until we reach just that window. And we managed to not just do like a vertical element here, but doing 2 sliding opaque doors on both sides. This is how you approach the house. So from the top level, the cover is also in concrete slates, 40 by 60. And when you approach the house, it looks half hidden, half sunk, half on top, and half. So again, like this image of an obelisk that I don't know if you ever seen it. If you Google it, you will find an obelisk that was not completed, and it's there, but you don't understand if it's something that you put over there or if it was discovered. So this is how you approach the house. You see the balcony, then this texture confrontation with the rocks that were already there, which was very, very important to us. Also, the fact that we took almost 4 years to complete this house also gave time to the site itself to start grabbing the building, falling on top of the building. And this is the view for the office. And then these relationships between the volume column that is there, that is also the shower for the pool, the barbecue area facing the rocks, and then this situation of a steep topography where this has to kind of spread arms and legs to attach to it. This is the swimming pool, which had also this. We also tried this kind of stereotomy, which is rotated in a way that the water kind of follows the concrete beam. This is parallel to it. Situation under. There's a beautiful mist in this area. It's also quite evocative to the house. And then this is the best part when it starts to kind of melt with the context. And this is the view from the lower end where you kind of almost don't see the pool on the left, but you see this monolith over there with a very narrow window. And here, every once and then, to also shape things a little bit, there are competitions. I try to do one per year or one every 2 years. This one was a total failure. We like out of 100, we were in 93 or 94. But for me, it was a very happy moment. I really enjoyed this chapel. It's a chapel. It's a mortuary chapel near this graveyard. And it was a very complex. This is the plot that has this beautiful view. and we didn't want also to touch the plot. We wanted to. It's a rocky area, so we wanted to dig those rocks, allow the rock also to be part of the interior, and we wanted to create an element that didn't have any kind of orientation. So it was also not Catholic. There was no religion towards it. So we somehow created a succession of elements. So when you come here, you have a stand, then you walk down the procession to then walk, turn, and enter a cave-like structure. This is one of. We also did only 2 images for the competition, none of the overall building, because our friends didn't have time. So I said, okay, let's go with the artistic one. So it was this one where we'll just be looking at this horizontal plan that would capture the water as it is over there. And then there will be a diagonal straight down if you would like to take the shortcuts, near miss the edge. And then just one pillar that will be us, us, and this line that is not touching on the other side. This is the so-called promenade that you follow. And then once you enter here, you have a covered area, a compression zone with the toilets, and then a courtyard, a waiting area, so you can, wait before you enter and mourn somebody inside this room. And the room needed to be 1, 2 rooms. It could be split in half. So this is how it works when you would slide the doors. And then once you're here, you're underground, looking only out to the sky with a hole with water dripping from the top, and you would lose any kind of sense on which north, south, when you're really facing. The materials are quite rough, so we would just paint this concrete and have these galvanized steel sliding doors, and then these benches and the piece for the coffin in the middle, and then this in-between space that is the glass box. This is one of the views that we could see the big beam that would separate both rooms with the light coming out. The section through the stands that you understand how it tensions with the thing, and then this is the view. So the diagonal towards a small water pond that collects the water from here, that the landscape architect kind of provided this intention of keeping everything as it was before and creating this basin here. The entrance as that so-called cave, and then this relation with the element. And a lot of times we are surprised by how interesting and eager to do something our clients are. This is a story of a small shed. This is a masonry building that he was already rebuilding. As you can see here, he is already building a small toilet, ventilation for the toilets. And he asked me to place here a wooden box, just a wooden box on top of this. And I told him, I don't know how to do just wooden boxes. So if you allow me to think a little bit, I might come up with something. So as this was made by him, and you call it aparelho de pedra, so the masonry work was not so nice, it was very rough. So I also didn't want to take authorship in the way that the stones were being laid. So I came up with this idea of creating a portico outside and leaning a roof that is also tensioned with the existence, but it's not really touching. So we will keep the very thick stone walls on the ground level, a staircase in the middle, small toilets and kitchenette, and living over here with a drier area for the corn, used to be the most exposed area. And in section will be like this. So the huge discussion will be not only the height, but also the distance of the frame towards the interior, because in the end, the client was always discussing if he was just paying for an expensive corridor in the upper level. But once it started getting built, and once I saw this beam over there, I felt like, okay, this would be a beautiful ruin. If we don't finish the building, it's already super nice. So, and the interesting thing is that I presented this work on a Friday night because he was very busy. He came there with the couple. They saw the project, saw some references, the ideas, and he got a good feeling about it. Monday he was calling me asking if the plans were correct, and I told him, yeah, the plans are, I took some measures, and he started, okay, because today I'm starting to build it. So he asked, how is this? It's not father-in-law, like the father of the wife. How do you say that? Father-in-law, okay. So the father-in-law started building it with another guy, going, casting everything, very, very, very artisanal, very, very local. And then he contracted the carpenter that usually did the carpentry works on this side. So we started doing this idea that this wooden frame just lays on top of the big beam and the two columns. And this is the technique that they were using. So you can see it's very, very rough. So it was not refined. It is a work done and carried out by small structures, which I really like. This is when we finished the roof. And then this is how you approach it. So you come from this higher end, you see the column, the beam, pulling you out to the left, and then the roof is not totally parallel. So there's also a tension game on this linha de ponto de fuga. So it like pushes you there. And from this side, when you're really near the building, you can see the river there, this reflecting the mountains. And there was only one window there to ventilate the upper level. And this is how you see it from the other side, just a black coated insulation waterproof layer with the water gutter, all painted dark black inside, semi brilliant, so it also gets some reflection from lighting. And this will be the top floor. And then this is the lower area where the frames are made with these beams. So we cut all these beams, we made these huge frames that were attached to the masonry wall. And the structure, as you can see, doesn't touch the granite. So it's a different, it's almost like a raft that is there in between the granite walls. And here you can see the frames, how they are attached to the exterior. So when you're on the outside, the ground level still looks like as it was a ruin. And these are sketches for the waterproofing layer with the metrics and all that. And then the guy got there with a huge gas, bottle. And he told me like, you're just crazy. I'm just going to do it, parallel to each other, one on top of the other. And this was the result in the water gutter there. And how it looks from the lower side. The window, which is also a metric for the facade, drawing about it, and how it looks from this side. So like the port. So from one side, it's very domestic, very up to our scale. You even have, if you're very tall, you have to kind of go under the water gutter. And on this side, it gets a monumentality that it's not, very common in this kind of structures. This is a house in the countryside. So where I work, it's 30 kilometers from Porto, so it's not really the city center. And a lot of these projects, they are with local contractors that you have to negotiate finishings, negotiate how the building will end up. And this is the house for my accountant. One of these days, he appeared there with the paper, with the plots, and said, like, would you, design my house? I said, of course, like, yeah, I just want the things, like, of course I will. And this house also has a particularity of being a bit playful with the structural elements. So he wanted the garage, and I convinced him not to have an interior car park because he would pay a lot. It's a sunken plot. So to make a -1 would completely destroy the house and the access to the house. So I convinced him to have an umbrella, an exterior umbrella for the cars and also to receive us when we arrive there. And the frame of the house, the skeleton of the house, the staircase, these elements that are drifted here, even if you would change the floor, paint the wall in yellow, these would still be there and still be containing space. So this was the main intention. Every time I go there and visit there, if I have somebody visiting or a friend asking me to visit the house, there's a pavement outside, there's bleachers here and there that is adding to the house. So I knew that this was going to be a possibility. And this is how it looks from the entrance. I have the vertical stair there, the living room, from the dining to the living to the kitchen on the left. And this is a triple height space in the core of the house that allows one to get from the ground level to the upper level, always communicating and talking and looking at the ground floor. Plan-wise, you see that it's quite complicated. Actually, this was one plot that they managed to cut in two to then get this house over there. So this is 3 meters, 5 meters there, and it's a cascade, like a waterfall falling through the plot. So you get there, you have a small exterior chamber. You enter here, you take your coat, you put your how would you say, pantufas? You take your shoes out, and then you get in. Then you have the dining, kitchen, living, and on the upper level you go up the stairs, and it's very simple. 2 twin rooms that are facing this hollow space in the entrance, and then the master bedroom. This is how it looks. So the reception area there. After you get through the porch, you enter. Then you perceive the cross on the left, the dining, and then the staircase that then assumes a role of a protagonist over here. So it's I was also lucky that the stair didn't have to go anywhere, so it can just stay there. And this is the double height, triple height, upper level. And there was a coincidence. So this was about to be the frame for the doors, in this material. But the electrician committed a mistake. So it should be 20, instead it was 10. So I had to do this on site okay, so now we take this, and then we rotate it until there was a margin. So now it kind of looks like legs and fingers that are framing the doors. All these processes, I'm always speaking about learning, because you can draw things, but better than drawing is to be with the carpenter, be with the smithsman, be with the contractor, which is Senor Isidro that is here. Also, there's a story for him. And being with brave people that allow you to make this frame that is just on top of the concrete wall with the neoprene ceiling. And also with the carpenter that then we can test on site. We tested a lot this handrail, because I didn't want it to be super heavy, but it also should not be, in glass, because this was not to be made of glass. So it was a very difficult task. And the house from the outside, it looks quite opaque, but there's a lot of light inside. And then here you can see the context of the small farming outside, with the topography that was arranged to receive the house on this side, and then the scattered context. My friend Pedro took these beautiful photographs of small details within the house, of carpentry works and metal works, and the relationships between materials, and the skylights, the water gutter. And so too is the house for the same contractor of this previous house. So in the very beginning, I was looking at the project, not understanding much about the project. I was also not with a big feeling. I didn't feel like it was going, on a good way. And this guy, in the end, he really liked the house, and he bought another plot in front of this, and he asked me for another nephew's project, for another house for another nephew, because he was the uncle of this client. And then I designed that house, and then eventually he told me, let's see another plot, and now I want you to design my own house. And this was also a very quite interesting process, because he's living on the opposite side of this building site in an apartment. So every day he would come to the veranda and look at the building, how it was being built. He was controlling the other contractor that he hired to build his own house. And he told me, you should design everything, sofa, bed, everything, because I want to leave everything that I own. I will live in this apartment. Probably I will rent it, and then you should design everything. So as a house, the plan is like this. So it's a square, subdivided. The social eating, cooking, it's one axis of the house, and then there's another axis that is on this side. 2 courtyards, one that is covered, one that is uncovered, and then 2 rooms. He asked me for 3 rooms, and I could manage to convince him to have just a small, informal bed for the cousin of his wife that sometimes goes there and sleeps there. So it was kind of easy to allow need to do this. And then the toilets, they also don't reach the ceiling, so we always have a reading of this ceiling. So from these sides, you can see the vineyard, the old rock wall, and then this element, bit abstract element. And then from the section, the cross section, you see the relationship between kitchen, window, taller space in the middle, compression again, and then that view. And this is how the umbrella works and operates to this first space, which is the exterior lobby. It's a 6-meter high umbrella where you reach there. It also rains there, and this is the place where we also connect to the basement, which is the same square with the access from behind, where he keeps his contractor materials. And inside the house, yeah, this is the section. So you see the column going right down there, crossing the whole ground floor, and corner of one of the courtyards. And then the whole house is lifted from the floor. So it's a bit like a box that you open the 4 sides for 4 different verandas. And you enter through here, through the courtyard on the left, with the ceiling. And then you can see through. You see the small chaise longue, which is a bed, the dining area here, and then the grid. And the concrete works were quite awful. I was actually going to assume them as not so even, not so horizontal. And then we came up with this idea of doing instead of having it on the floor, we had it on the top. So to lift and to also work with all the sliding doors with the same detail. This is the toilet on this side that has the window, so you allow one to see how is the ceiling. This is the dining area with the double heights. Then the transition to the room on that side, and then the 2 columns that also create an informal corridor, which is really not a corridor, the so-called office dash sleeping area, which has a sliding door over there. And then you look through it, see the living. And this is how it works. So when you're in the dining area, you have this double height with the light coming from the top, which is this square. And this is how it looks through the village with more protective sofa. So if he wants to be sitting in the sofa, he doesn't have anyone looking at him. He's just sitting here. And this is also almost like a small wall that protects you from the entrance. So one enters and doesn't see who's sitting here, and then the other chaise longue here, and then a shelf for the television over there. And this is how it looks to the kitchen. So the kitchen is totally open to this side. So it's a very practical. They are 60-something, and they wanted a very also practical house to operate with not a lot of compartments. And I even had the chance to design like 8 different small tables for the beds. And this is the way you access the down there. The stair also doesn't touch the wall, so allows this light to come in and to create this moment in a very ordinary space. And to finish this talk, this lecture, I finished with one project that is the biggest that I've done so far, that we are finishing now construction. It's a small flagship store for a local company. They sell and they sell, they are very niche. So what they do is to sell equipment for changing tires, aligning directions, so it's like heavy weight materials that are going to be stored, repaired, and they're located in a showroom, office area, shop, and then storage on the back. So this is the model that we've done for the project. So it will be a portico, a gallery. There was a 9-meter difference from this side to that side. So one enters here and can walk through this, enter each one of the cores, and then get down the stair on the other side, or through the stair in the front. This is the land movement that we have to do. So in order to make it less expensive, move less soil, we created these walls made of stone inside, so like these caged stone walls to contain this, and these are the studies for the facade, studies for the rhythm of this portico, and also to try to solve this connection between the base of the building and how it could be modulated, and then sketches and ideas for the main area. This is the first rendering of the access with a snake tongue to provide two entrances for the building. These were the first sketches where you can see the core, so like the shop with 4 working rooms, 2 courtyards, 2 main halls that allow one also to perceive the building through the interior. Then the cafeteria, working area, and then we'll go up and face this passage, this cross passage where you can wait, then administration room, and then the other room for also workers on the upper level, as you see here in the plan. So we'll go up here. There will be also a meeting room facing the warehouse, then this cross, and then small balconies facing each side of the courtyards. Then eventually we had to give up on this idea of having this control room. It was very expensive because of the fireproofing. So this has to be a different category and split from these cores. So this is going to be super expensive to have glass that would resist the 60 minutes. These are our visualizations on the first with the brick that we would paint inside and outside. We also took this out for cost reasons and also just to show the skeleton and only the bones of the building. And to do this in prefab concrete is also again a lot of process of understanding a new building technology that I never built with, but will be the most clever way of building this is to work with a company for the prefab. So we did like 16 reviews to their system, and we tried to every time that we could to shift a bit the parameters, the so-called standard, so to keep in the standard price, but doing it in a different way. So these were sketches for the panels, like the insulated, not insulated panels, simple panels. And how then to decode the elements, taller columns, beams. This is 2 meter high. So to understand that we are mostly like this size, so quite heavy, quite impressive. And this is the feet of the building. So the number of little, almost like a centopeia, like the little feet of the building that will be dug on the ground to sustain all these elements that will build like a Lego. Then the sketches for the new staircase to go up. And here it's a pity because it's a bit destroyed, the drawing, but here you could see the progression towards the middle core where we have offices, then common areas, and then this is a hollow space where you can perceive the column going up to hold the roof, and then the circulation path that leads you down and to the corridors, the courtyards. So the metrics of the building was also established from the beginning. These are the final plans of the upstairs. And then also inside, there were other kind of functions that we didn't do with the prefab. So we just used brick and we created small sculptures inside of the building. So Anna, she was a jewelry maker. So she was doing, the joint by joint of these bricks. So we cannot cut the bricks, like the Leverance way. So we are every day like there, like, no, this brick or half brick, it's like policemen to do this. And yeah, so here you can see the big gallery, narrows over here to go down, the staircase, parking, the walls, the containing walls, the dock area behind, and then the 3 inside boxes. Every box, we try to be as synthetic as possible, also not to scare the contractor, so this wouldn't become too expensive. And every one of them has interior skylights that allow the light from the ceiling to reach. And this is one of the last ones to be drawn, was the driver's small toilet, only with a throne inside. And it was placed in over here. So it was like he comes here and they say, I have to go to the toilet, so it goes here. And then he has a 6 meter high tube, which is open, upstairs. So sometimes it's, this can get funny, people allow you to do the things you want to do, No, but this is very serious. This is very serious. So this is the lobby, the one of the renderings that we're making. So you enter, you have the gaps, then you have the two staircases that lead you to the upstairs. These were the skylight location on the ceiling, the walls that we were making to contain. And this was the system. I never also worked with this. Was quite interesting to learn more. And then the fit for the structure and how this structure started to bring. It was always impressive, even for the client, because it's super fast to be assembled. So he could see the building growing in a very fast way. And then once he saw, the columns, he say, "Oh my God, this is going to be quite huge, and it's going to be, interesting and impactant." It was also part of the brief. This is super serious company and they are passing the testimony from the father to the sons, and they say like, we don't want any metallic, random warehouse. We would like to have something with a bit more of care. So they allow to push it to this level. This is on the lower level. All the photographs that we've been seeing of this presentation are from José Campos, which is the photographer that I worked for a very long time. And these were photographs that we took at like 6 a.m. or 5:45 with the first light of the day, that we just go in there to take. And then we also did another, so here it's as it being assembled with the courtyard, with the circular void, with these super cool beams that will hold this panel. We had to learn a lot also how these things were going to be shifted, stitched together in a way that it will be a building, not something that would say, okay, this is actually. There was a couple of engineers that I consulted before, and they would say like, you don't want to work with prefab because you always want to control everything, and if you do it with prefab, it's going to destroy your idea. But we were lucky enough to change these elements, to adapt them and to do these variations. And here you can perceive the scale of one panel towards one person. And it's also a misty area, so it helps a lot with the atmosphere of the building. And once it was the skeleton was made and we only had this dirt floor, it was super impactant already to understand how to look through this and how this monolith was appearing in this site. The relationship of the topography was quite steep and difficult. The gallery appearing over here with the porticado and the colonnata, and the more technical area behind, the staircase to access the gallery, this repetition of elements. And this is more recently the photographs in Francisco, but this is also super nice photographs of the building now with the metal works, with the sliding doors inside, or the courtyard with the verandas here with the small, pinholes for light to get into the meeting area. The gallery finished with the railing, the lighting there, interior lighting that also works as another element. We did a lot of, everything is on site, so you cannot hide anything. So it's all on top of the concrete. All these solutions for lighting and water and the HVAC, we had to plan it in advance. And the metal works, we are very lucky with our metalwork Anselmo, which is doing everything that we can to provide for the work. And this is the dripped brick, just painted in white. We just leave the bottom in connection to the floor. And these are some snapshots of these details inside, which I like to show. I don't know if I can show a small view here. I'm just gonna share the lobby. So that you see how this is. These are the first lighting tests that we are doing for this lobby space. You see one of the corners in the staircase that was there. And the other corner, so we're looking at that one. So when one enters, you have almost like a lower ceiling, and then it becomes this. And so I always finish with one image of a concert by Godspeed You, Black Emperor. I don't know if you know them. it's a concert in Barcelona when they had a long hiatus. They kind of broke up in the early 2000s. I discovered them when I was studying, and they were very impacted by how their music touched me. So when they came back, it was in 2010, I guess, 2010. We went to Apollo in Barcelona to see this show, and then they have this thing that they said in an interview, like you string a kite too long upon its string, sooner or later it ends up stranded on the moon. So this is, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
For such an interesting and enjoyable talk. From hearing about how much you value the relationships with people that build into your projects, to your creativity and pulling your sketches and problem solving. It's amazing. Thank you.
No, thank you for the invitation.